Today, we are exploring a fascinating intersection of psychology and finance, social influence in health economics. We will analyze how peer effects and social norms shape health decisions, specifically looking at vaccination uptake in modern healthcare. Now, moving towards the learning objectives, our session today has five key goals. First, we will define social influence and see how the choices of other alters our personal sense of utility. We will analyze social norms, contrasting what people actually do with what they ought to do. We will explore peer effects, distinguishing between learning from friends and conforming to them. We will evaluate salience, why visible risks get more attention than silent ones. Finally, we will apply these to policies, looking at how we can use social dynamics at improve vaccination rates. Now, a brainstorming challenge. Before we dive into the theory, let's start with a scenario. Imagine you drive at a clinic to get a vaccine. There are two counters. Counter A has a long, orderly queue, and counter B is empty. Where do you go? Most people hesitate at the empty counter. Why? Because the long line at counter A is a signal. You assume those people know something you don't. Perhaps that counter has a better shelf or the staff or the correct vaccine. This is social influence in action. Now, we'll be defining social influence and interdependence. Interdependence. In traditional economics, we assume preferences are independent. Your choice of doctor shouldn't technically be affected by mine. However, in social economics, we recognize interdependence. This means your utility, your satisfaction, or well being is directly impacted by the actions and beliefs of your social networks. Moreover, mechanism influence occurs through observation, learning from others, or through the desire for social approval, avoiding stigma, or seeking status. Thirdly, economic impact. We recognize interdependence. This means your utility, your satisfaction, or well being is directly impacted by the actions and beliefs of your social networks. Social influence can lead to the non-linear changes in health markets, where small initial changes in behavior triggers massive shifts, tipping points. Next we have is the economic of social norms, economy of social norms. Social norms are informal rules that govern behavior within a group. Economically, they act as a constraint or an additional shadow price on health behaviors. If you do something uncool against the norm, you pay a price in social stigma. Conversely, following the norm can provide a reward in social status. As the saying goes, we don't just choose health, we choose to fit in. Norms reduce the cognitive load of decision making. Status acts as a reward for adherence, and stigma acts as an economic penalty for deviation. Now we have types of social norms, descriptive norms and injunctive norms. Descriptive norms are about what people actually do. For example, telling a patient that 80% of your neighbors got the flu shot. This provides evidence of what is common. And injunctive norms, these are about what people ought to do, the moral weight. For example, most people believe everyone should vaccinate to protect the elderly. This focuses on the social approval. Now we have the peer effect and influence. Peer influence can broken down further. into informational influence. We assume peers have private information. If a friend chooses as a specific health plan, we see it as a signal of quality. And on the other hand, is normative influence. We confirm just to maintain our identity within a group. This is why teenagers might start smoking or exercising simply to belong or to fit in. This is mostly common in the Gen Zs or the teenagers. Next we have is the social multiplier. One of the most exciting concepts in this field is the social multiplier. It's essentially the economic version of viral trends. It occurs when a policy intervention changes one person's behavior, which then ripples through the network to change others. A social multiplier occurs when an intervention like a subsidy changes an individual's behavior, which then ripples through the network to change others' behavior. As you can see in this diagram, individual incentive effect is 15%, meanwhile the social influence multiplier is 45%. But how does the mechanism works? So the multiplier relies on social externalities or peer effects, the trigger, the social signal, and the ripple. The trigger. An external force like the government subsidy, a new tax, or a technological breakthrough makes a specific behavior more attractive to an individual. The individual should. Person A changes their behavior because it is now cheaper or more beneficial for them. The social signal. Person B sees person A's change because humans are social creatures. Person B's utility satisfaction for that same behavior increases, either because they want to confirm they have learned from A, or the behavior becomes more useful as more people join network effects. Last, the ripple. Person B changes their behavior even though they didn't receive the original subsidy. This in turn influences person C and so on and on and on. Let's take a look at this example to understand this concept more. Solar panels. So imagine a government offers a $5,000 subsidy for installing solar panels. Direct effect: 100 people install panels because they can finally afford them. And social multiplier: their neighbors see the panels, ask about the electricity bill, and notice that the solar is what people in this neighborhood do now. Even after the subsidy ends, another 200 people install panels because of social norms has shifted. The results: the government paid for 100 people but bought 300 installations. The multiplier here is 3, meaning people are very influenced by their peers. And why it matters? For policy understanding, the social multiplier allows government to spend less. The multiplier is strong enough. It can lead to a tipping point where a small nudge shifts an entire society from one equilibrium, like everyone smokes, to a new one. For example, smoking is socially taboo. Now, social networks as infrastructure. Health economics must treat social networks as a form of soft infrastructure because connectivity determines the speed of behavioral contagion, from the spread of obesity to the adoption of preventive care. We have the salience in health decision making. Now, let's talk about salience and how noticeable the risk is. In health, salient risks like a local outbreak drive actions much faster than abstract ones. Vivid emotional stories often outweigh dry statistics. Salience refers to the quality of being particularly noticeable or important. In health, salient risks like a recent local outbreak drive higher preventative actions than abstract risks. Has 3 points: vividness, like emotional stories outweigh statistics; recency, recent event feel more likely to reoccur; and visibility, visible symptoms or public campaigns increase up. Next we have is cognitive bias and salience. Why do we underinvest in treating hypertension? Because it's a silent killer. With low salience, no visible symptoms, we also suffer from hyperbolic discounting, the immediate salient. Pain of a needle prick feels bigger than the future abstract benefit of not getting sick. Silent killers. Conditions like hypertension are low salience because they lack immediate visible symptoms, leading to underinvestment in treatments. Availability heuristics. People judge healthy risk based on how easily examples come to mind. For example, media coverage of a rare side effects versus the common diseases. Lastly, the hyperbolic discounting. Immediate cost, the pain of shot are salient, while future benefits like the immunity are discounted and less salient. Vaccination update and social dynamics. For applications, vaccination is a social act. Its success depends not just on clinical efficacy, but on the strategic interaction of millions of individuals. Now, this data shows that vaccine hesitancy is often driven by a lack of risk salience 40% and social norms constraint 30%, while 15% is access barriers like economic costs and the remaining 15% is other personal factors. The free rider problem. If I see that 95% of my peers are vaccinated, my personal risk is near zero, and I might decide to free ride on their immunity to avoid the time or side effects of the shot myself. If everyone thinks this way, herd immunity collapses. In economy, vaccination creates positive externalities. However, individuals may choose to free ride on the immunity of others. Results. Policy nudges suboptimal equilibrium where herd immunity is threatened due to social interdependence. Herd immunity thresholds. The social benefit of the next person getting vaccinated is non-linear. It spikes when approaching threshold. Herd immunity threshold is 85% and it spikes. The horizontal line is community coverage percentage and the vertical line is the society. Next we have is policy nudges leveraging influence. So how do we fix this? We use nudges default options, make vaccinations OPT out so it becomes the perceived norm. Second is social signaling. I got vaccinated. Stickers make a private act visible and salient. Lastly, peer champions. Using local leaders to endorse behavior shifts normative perceptions. Now we have practice MCQs. A social multiplier occurs when option A, person change affects, option B, cost increase linearly, option C, subsides decrease. Number two, which norms refers to what people should do, descriptive, injunctive, or heuristics. Now, you will solve these MCQs accordingly. Secondly, we have number three, vaccination uptake often fails due to oversalience, the free rider problem, negative externality. Number four, salience in health refers to marginal cost, vividness noticeability, and network nodes. Structured essay and question SEQs. Question number one. Discuss how social norms can be both a barrier and a facilitator to smoking cessation program. Use the concept of descriptive and injunctive norms in your answer. Question number two. Explain the economic rationale behind using social signaling. For example, vaccine wristbands. to increase immunization rates. How does this address the issue of salience? You have to do this activity after reading all these slides.